Welcome to the Green and Golden Boys Packers podcast.
Coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I'm Charles.
And I'm Marcus. And this is a Packers podcast for fans living inside enemy territory.
This is the new sound for the new era. Marcus, how does that sound now?
Feels pretty good too.
38-20 victory over the Bears. Let's let this breathe for a minute. Oh man, this is almost as good as the Bears Still Suck song I played when I got home after that sweet victory on Sunday afternoon.
Well, okay, and that's an important point. I think that's a distinction we need to make. The Bears do suck, and while this is an awesome victory, week one, rivalry game on the road, the Bears suck, and they were the worst team in football last year. So before we go anointing, Jordan Love is the next coming, or start booking our tickets for the Super Bowl, let's just remember that they're a bad team, and you expect to beat bad teams, right?
No, we didn't expect it. Listen to our first episode.
Yep.
We had no idea what to expect. So every talking head right now is saying exactly what you just said, and you're right. They were the worst team last year, and if we knew what we had, or if we were really confident in Jordan Love or whoever, yeah, we should beat a bad team. But we didn't know if we were also a bad team. So that's why I think we should be really excited, cautiously, of course. And yes, we did find out that the Bears still suck, but we had to find that out. And we also had to find out that we didn't suck as much as them.
Yeah.
If we all go back to Saturday, we can all remember that odds makers were expecting the Packers to lose. The Bears were 1-point favorites.
Yeah, and again, I am celebrating this win as much as anybody, but all I'm just trying to say is, looking at it through the lens we have now, it seems a little different. Like, I picked the Bears to win this game based on the unknown. Right. You know what I mean? And based on what they've done in the offseason, I expected them to be a lot better in this game, to be completely transparent. I thought, hey, Justin Fields, year three, he's got 2 years now in this offense, under this coaching staff. He's going to be better. He wasn't really, and we were afraid of, the weapons that he got in the offseason. They didn't seem to make much of a difference. And again, is that because the Packers played well? Is it because we're a better team? Is it because the Bears still suck? Is it kind of a mix of everything? I don't really know. I don't want to downplay the win. I'm just saying, right. Again, let's be happy. Let's be cautiously optimistic, because a couple of years ago, the Bears beat the 49ers, and the 49ers went to the NFC Championship. I think it was last year.
Yep.
The Packers got blown out in week one last year by the Vikings, I believe, and the year before by the Saints. And the year before against the Saints, we ended up winning 13 games and going to NFC divisional round, but we were the number one seed. So, week one, I think, is let's just temper our expectations, because 1 week does not a season make. But
totally
celebrate the win. Be excited, because, Charles, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't perfect, as I'm sure a lot of people are saying right now. But, man, if Jordan Love can be at least this good moving forward, I mean, man, that I don't hate that at all.
So I'm stealing this line from somebody else. I forget who said it, but I think that game was very good if you're a Packers fan in a normal circumstance. But it was a great start for Jordan Love's first game as a starter. You know what I mean? We could not, even the first half, that wasn't great, and it was still a very close game going into halftime. A lot of mistakes were made, right? And we didn't capitalize on some things. But you and I watched the game together, and we're like, he's missing some passes by not by much, right? So even if it was a closer game, for the full game, it was a very good win. It was a great start for for our quarterback who's just got one under his belt now. Technically two, but one as the name starter. So I'm very excited that, even if we see this exact level of play for the rest of the year, I think that gets us to a 8 to 9 win season, right? That's me just guessing, right? Still being overly optimistic, maybe. But it makes me very. I haven't, like, you opened up last episode saying this might be the most excited we are so far. Well, hey, my excitement level just went up a half a notch.
Yep,
Right?
same.
So hopefully in 4 weeks, before we're talking about the next divisional rivalry we got, hopefully it's just turned up a couple more steps, and we can really see this being a long-term relationship between Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers.
Yep, for sure. And they're, like you said, Jordan Love was missing some throws, just not by much. Like, he's almost there, but I think they said this on the broadcast. I think it was our boy, what is his name?
Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen, thank you. He said that if you look at Jordan Love on 3rd and 4th down, he was near perfect. And that is
perfect.
And that is the stat that stood out to him, and I think should stand out to a lot of people. Is like, push come to shove, he was on.
Big time,
you know what I mean?
Big time plays under big time pressure against a divisional rival in Chicago. So let me ask you this. I mean, we got a lot of other things to talk about besides Jordan Love, because so many other people played well, and we'll get to them all right now. But let me open up that conversation by saying, did we win because A, B, C, or D? Did we win because A, Jordan Love? Did we win because B, Matt LaFleur? C, the defense? Or D, special teams coming through?
That's a good question. I mean, I have to go with our offense, I think. I think without the performance from Aaron Jones and Romeo Doubs and some big plays from our rookies, like, it wouldn't have been the same. And we obviously had some big plays on special teams. Jaden Reed had a nice kick return, and Anders Carlson made every kick, and our defense had the Quay Walker pick 6 and had some big sacks in this game. But I gotta give it the edge a little bit to our offense in this one, because they scored 31.
I noticed you said our offense, not Jordan Love. So what do you think? It's more of a. Do you think Aaron Jones is still kind of that guy on our offense, or did you feel like Jordan Love was did we win with Jordan Love or because of Jordan Love on Sunday?
Oh man, I think in this one I still got to give it to Aaron Jones, because he had
Agreed.
he had some excellent plays, and he kind of got us rolling.
Yep. And doesn't it just drive you nuts? And that's why I wouldn't have picked Matt LaFleur. Doesn't it drive you nuts that he touched the ball 5 times in the first drive to open up the game, and then he did not see it for the rest of the first half? I mean, I can pull out so many news conferences from Matt LaFleur. So that's one of my bads for this game, is Matt LaFleur somehow finding a way to get away from the run in the first half and not having Aaron Rodgers as his excuse of being like, well, I got the best quarterback in the league. We quite literally, we just both agreed that Aaron Jones is probably our best playmaker, best player on the field. How did we get away from him time and time again?
I don't know, and I don't understand that. But I mean, Matt LaFleur did the right thing, and he got back to Aaron Jones, who's our biggest playmaker, and that got, lo and behold, gets us back on track. So yeah, I know I don't understand why sometimes he gets away from it, knowing that he needs to get the ball. But to his credit, we did get back to giving Aaron Jones the rock, and he made a few huge things happen, including that touchdown pass or touchdown reception he had. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know why Matt does that, but at some point too, you want to get some other guys going. AJ Dillon just didn't seem to have a great day on the ground.
Man,
and they
it's
started
a bummer too.
Yeah, and they started.
I want him to do so well.
I do too. Like, I love the guy, and he's like, now basically a bona fide Wisconsinite. And my fear is that at the end of the season he's no longer a Packer, and I don't want to see that. But I'm gonna go into. This is an abrupt transition, but I want to go into my good and my bad, and they're the same thing in this game, and that was the rookies. Some big contributions from our rookies. I thought we were going to see Emmanuel Wilson, and he was a scratch for the game, and they elevated Patrick Taylor, who's not a rookie but had a nice day. But we had a couple of big impact plays from our rookies. We had on the defense, we had Lucas Van Ness and Carl Brooks both with a sack. We had Jaden Reed with the kick return and a couple of big plays. We had Luke Musgrave with a couple of big plays. And like I mentioned before, Anders Carlson hit every kick. This is also my bad for the day, the rookies. And, Jaden Reed had a big drop. Luke Musgrave ran a wrong route, and then he was backpedaling during that sort of trick play and, ended up falling and not, it would have been a touchdown, I think. So there's some growing pains we're seeing. And I think that stuff will get cleaned up as the season goes along, but I think there's a lot more of that we can expect to see over the next few weeks, especially. But yeah, today my good and bad were the rookies.
Well, 5 for 5 from Carlson, 3 touchdown PATs, or four PATs, right? Yeah, 4 PATs and a field goal. And
that was a 52-yard field goal, wasn't it?
That could have been made from a million miles away.
Yeah, supposedly.
But he did drill. I mean, I know we were poking fun at the announcer, whoever said it, a million yards away it could have been made. But 60 something for sure. I mean, that hit halfway up the net. So he was showing some inconsistencies in the preseason. So it was really good to see that just be a freaking dart right down the middle of the uprights. Back to Aaron Jones for a moment. Again, we didn't mention it here, but hopefully we're not losing him for any time. Him pulling up on that 4th and 3 touchdown pass. That was a little scary to see him grab that hammy. He said it was a bite and not a pulled hamstring, but who knows? I did find out, again, not sure who the source was, so I apologize who I'm stealing it from. He was the second fastest offensive player in week 1 on that play.
Wow.
Tyreek Hill, he hit a faster mile per hour, but after Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones on that play hit the second fastest player in the NFL, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's insane. And maybe when we get Christian Watson back, we'll have a couple of guys that can do that.
Right? Yeah, exactly. The only other bad I have, again, like if we have this exact game 17 times in a row, we won't win all of them because we're going to play harder teams, than the Bears. Because again, they do still suck. But the only other bad was on the floor. And I guess Jordan Love a little bit, but taking that sack was a big no-no, of course, from Love, potentially knocking us out from field goal range. That we just talked about where we ultimately hit the field goal, but we wasted like 30 seconds.
Yeah. What was that?
And it was, I think, first or second down. So, I was kind of upset of how that was handled. And the play almost got snapped at 4 seconds left, which would have, ended the half without even a field goal attempt, which would have been just a debacle. So thankfully that didn't happen. But that was the other kind of bad, if you will, from the game where I'm surprised, LaFleur probably counted on our former quarterback a little bit more to call that timeout by himself. But kind of understand the situation. You got a guy who's in his first rivalry game, maybe watch out for him and get a couple of extra snaps in the end of that first half.
Yeah, for sure. And, yeah, I mean, his 5th year as the head coach, the clock management has got to be at the forefront, especially, when the half is near or kind of coming to an end there. I don't understand it, but those things happen, and you kind of hope you work those kinks out in the first couple of weeks, and it doesn't come back to haunt you at the end of the season or in a playoff game or something like that. But one thing we haven't talked about yet, and I wanted to kind of mention is, the rookies were my good and bad, but what about some of these second-year players? Romeo Doubs, I mean, unreal, 2 touchdowns. Like we didn't even know he was going to play, honestly, and has a huge game. Devontae Wyatt, a sack and a half after not playing a ton last year.
That's the big one.
Yes, impactful, and our run defense, and again, when you've got a guy like Kenny Clark playing the run, you're in good shape. But it seemed like we had some really strong play from our defensive line as well. And obviously we talked a little bit about Quay Walker having the pick 6. And for those of you out there, Charles, you were obviously there. We were watching the game together, but I was like yelling at the TV. I was like, go down, go down, go down. He just smacks into the defender and is like, yeah, I'm just going to go the other way and score.
Yeah, to recreate it. Go down, go,
yeah,
go.
Keep going. Don't go down. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, what was so cool about that is we saw Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary on the sideline, right? together on the sideline, and our defense was stopping the run and was stopping the pass. And last year, when Rashawn Gary left because of his injury, I mean, our defense fell apart. So obviously when Preston had to take a break, we had nobody. So to see those to your point, those second year players really step up, and to complement that are Lucas Van Ness just having a sack against a shifty quarterback. Fields had a bunch of sacks last year, but I mean, he's still, you saw it in that game. We had a tough time tackling him. So to see our rookie and our second year player both have sacks this game was just so cool to see. To have that fourth down stop, to just to take that wind out of the stadium early to lead to our first touchdown of the game. I mean, when I asked that question before of who won this game, I mean, it really was a toss-up between a lot of those options, because our defense, for one game against a very bad team, apparently, looked like a top tier defense. I mean, I know we said it's 38-20, but I mean, that last touchdown was basically garbage time, and that game was over, at 38-13 or whatever that was. So, again, overreaction Tuesday as we're recording this, but
Yep.
It could not have gone better. No one expected us to see. It couldn't have gone better for any of the positions, I'd say. None of us expected to see Patrick Mahomes come out there and Jordan Love. Some of us expected to see the moment be too big for Jordan Love. Some of us expected us, when the pressure got on him to tuck the ball and try to run. He never tried to run. He did a couple times and it worked out. But what I mean tried to run is like that first touchdown pass to Dobbs. He had to clutch that first fake back in, and then kind of got bumped into a few times and just kind of feathered a ball over to Romeo Dobbs. And I mean, he just looks so poised and calm and collected that he was not a rookie out there, right? I mean, he wasn't Patrick Mahomes yet, but he definitely was not. He wasn't Zach Wilson on Monday Night Football. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it was clear the poise he had, and credit Aaron Rodgers and him being behind him for 3 years. Credit our offensive line that he had. Credit the scheme that Matt LaFleur had. Credit the defense, the Bears, for being the Bears. But he looked like a number one quarterback who looked good enough to play and good enough to get into the playoffs. And a week ago, we sounded like homers for saying that. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and again, it's week one, but it really couldn't have been. We couldn't have asked for anything better, honestly. Like that was probably best case scenario. Yeah, and speaking of overreaction Tuesday or Monday, whatever, we were recording on Tuesday. Jordan Love led the league this week in passer rating, in touchdown passes thrown, and is, I think, top 6 in yards. So not a bad week for any quarterback, but a great week for a first-time starter.
Yep. Well, we don't want to bring up the AFC too often, and our old quarterback Aaron Rodgers too often. It's inevitable. I mean, the number of times we still say Brett Favre, however many years later, it's going to happen a lot. True. But big news with Aaron Rodgers. It does affect us, but Marcus, take that one away.
Yeah, well, I wanted to say a few things about Aaron Rodgers and Jets fans. Like, hey, it really sucks what happened to Aaron Rodgers. We feel for you. No one expected that to happen at all. It really sucks. It sucks a lot less for us, but it will affect the Packers in that, if he's out for the season, which he is, we will be getting a second-round pick instead of a first-round pick from the New York Jets. But just wanted to say good luck to Jets, and, our hearts go out to you guys, and to Aaron Rodgers specifically. That really sucks, man. We know this isn't how you wanted to go out, and whatever happens, again, thank you for everything, and we hope you heal soon.
Yeah, my heart goes out to Rodgers. I feel bad for him. I wasn't necessarily rooting for them to win the Super Bowl, but, man, that stinks to go out potentially like that. I mean, that's a year recovery. He's a year-to-year guy, it sounds like, anyway, and I don't know. That's tough. I don't feel so bad for Jets fans, They just they're Jets fans, but for Aaron Rodgers, that's a bummer. You never want to see anyone get injured. So hopefully the NFL listens to their players and gets some grass that's actually safer to play on. Mm-hmm. That's a bummer. Yep,
it is truly a bummer. But it is what it is, and we'll see what happens. But that's all I have for today, Charles. Anything else?
No, I think that does it for us. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Green and Golden Boys, a Packers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcast service. And as always, Marcus,
Go Pack, go!